dogs are so good at tracking people? I mean, how can they just follow me through the bush like this? And better yet, is there any way I can throw them off my trail? Oh, God.
Well, to answer those questions, we first need to look at the world from a dog's perspective.
Actually, that would be a mistake, trying to see the world from the dog's point of view. Because compared to us, dogs smell the world more than they see it.
As humans, we rely extensively on our eyesight to gather information. So our world is based on visual cues. And when we need to communicate, well, we can just talk to somebody. But dogs are different. For starters, they don't see all the colors that we do. They see only blues, yellows, and shades of gray. Their eyesight also isn't as sharp as ours. So they use their vision more for detecting movement and shapes than for fine details.
Where's Matisse? Where is she?
And when it comes to communicating, I've yet to meet a dog that can talk. But that's okay, because dogs can gather information and communicate through their sense of smell. The first thing dogs do when they meet is smell each other. What they're actually doing is gathering information, because from a few sniffs, they can tell the sex, age, and health of the other dog. And if you've ever taken a dog for a walk, then you've also seen them use smell to communicate. They use their urine because its odor is different for each dog, and it's easy to spread around.
Male dogs in particular are very territorial, so they urinate on trees, posts, or fire hydrants to let other dogs know they're in the area. It's kind of like leaving your own personal ID card behind for everyone to read.
This tells the next dog that comes along whether the previous dog was friendly or aggressive. But what gives dogs such a keen sense of smell in the first place? Well, compared to us, they do have a few advantages.
The first advantage is as plain as the nose on our face. Dogs have bigger snouts than we do. Now, that's important because inside every nose is a mucous membrane that contains scent receptors. And it's these receptors that detect the different smells that we inhale. Now, the mucous membrane in our nose is about the size of a postage stamp. But a dog's membrane is all folded up inside its nose. And once you unfold it, a dog can have a membrane as large as 50 postage stamps, which means a dog's nose has millions more scent receptors than a human nose.
The other big advantage can be found in the dog's brain. The olfactory center that processes the signals coming from the nose is 50 times larger in dogs than humans. So with more brain power devoted to smell, dogs can analyze odors in far more detail than we can. The difference would be like walking into a kitchen where there's a big pot of stew on the stove. Now, a human would just smell a nice pot of stew. But a dog would smell the peas, the carrots, the potatoes, the beef, and the gravy all individually. All right, so we know why dogs smell so well, but when they're tracking people, what exactly are they smelling?
Well, believe it or not, we all have our own smell that's as individual as our fingerprints. Now, I'm not talking about a nasty, pungent odor like the one you get when you don't shower for a week. No, it's a more subtle smell. It's produced by your skin cells, and it's controlled by your genes.
Wherever you go, you release your scent into the air. It's like walking past someone wearing a strong perfume. Your scent lingers in the air for a while, even after you're gone. But as you get farther away, your scent becomes weaker and weaker until it finally disappears. So how is it then that dogs can follow trails that are several hours old? Because they rely on something else that you leave behind.
Like dead skin cells. Every minute, your body sheds about 40,000 dead skin cells. Now, don't go looking for them because, well, they're microscopic. But wherever you go, you leave behind a tiny trail of these cells. And that's not all. With each step, you also leave behind a small amount of sweat from your feet. Even when you're wearing shoes, the sweat molecules still make their way to the ground. To use an analogy, imagine your body is like a big bag of fresh popcorn. Ah, popcorn. The closer you are, the stronger the scent you give off into the air. Now, as you move away, your scent in the air gets weaker, but you also leave behind a tiny trail of skin cells and sweat molecules on the ground. Now, since these skin cells and sweat molecules come from your body, they also carry your personal smell. Now, our noses aren't sensitive enough to detect these tiny clues, but dogs can. And that's how a dog can track a person even after several hours have passed. By putting their nose to the ground and following that trail of skin cells and sweat molecules that always get left behind.
But how long can a scent trail last? Well, that often depends on the weather. Heavy winds or rain will quickly disperse a trail and make it impossible to follow.
But even if the weather is good, it's unlikely a dog could follow a trail that's more than a day or two old, because by then, bacteria will have broken down the cells enough to change their scent, which prevents the dog from being able to recognize them.
But what if the dogs are hot on your trail? Can you throw them off?
Well, you could walk down river like they always do in the movies. And the reason this works is because the water breaks up your trail by carrying your scent away. But if there's no water around, then your last chance is to confuse the dogs by finding someone who smells just like you do. The unfortunate part is that since your scent is genetic, that person would have to be your identical twin. Okay, you go that way, I'll go this way.